bring me wind and rain, you're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite. Don't leave me here high and dry. Oh, but I don't wanna jinx it, baby. Let's not get ahead of my time. Oh, but I don't wanna miss you, baby. So I stand up and speak just my mind. Oh.
Merry Christmas, everybody. It is almost Christmas. And I say that in a merry way, but I said as a reminder that the holidays is not merry for everyone. So if you're not having such a happy day, we totally pray for you. We hope that you find peace and joy in some kind of way. Find that thing that just makes you happy, that one little piece of the world that makes you happy, and go there so that you can stay that way through this season. I'm super happy. It's not even just Christmas. If you guys know me, you know tomorrow is my king's birthday, my husband's birthday. And my husband does not require a lot of gift and things like that. However, he's always constantly giving. So we make a pretty big deal of his birthday. So we started celebrating yesterday. And then I don't combine like his Christmas and his birthday, but we do the one gift and the other gift. And yesterday I had to go out to deliver an animal. And then delivering that animal, I said to Michael had one job, y'all. Michael had one job. There was one big part of his gift that was coming, and I didn't want my husband to be the one to receive it. So Michael's bedroom sees the delivery people all the time. He's the one who can see them clearly. Normally he's on it. I see that the delivery happened, and then I get all of these kisses and everything, and I knew that my husband had saw one of his surprises, and I was just like so upset because I had a whole plot plan as to how I was going to present it to him. So we still get the gift, and we get to gift throughout his birthday, and I just want to just take a moment to just say I love you, babe, if you're listening. And it's exciting to be able to just make your day a big deal, because you make a big deal out of everybody else's day, regardless of how down you might be feeling. If you don't feel well or whatever the case may be, you always like to make sure you're delivering those surprises to people. So shout out to you, babe. Holiday shopping, be careful. Y'all know it's crazy people out there. We don't need nobody dying to get a gift, okay? Be very conscious of that. I can tell you I went out yesterday. Traffic was horrible. I'm supposed to go out today, and I'm debating it because I don't have to go out today for gifting. I don't know if I want to take that drive that I took yesterday, so we shall see. Hey, bro. Hey, Wiz. Merry Christmas. I wanted to have some good Christmas music for y'all today as well, but YouTube be hating. YouTube be hating on us. So I'm going to go ahead and kick off some music in the background. Welcome, Brittany. Hello. Before we bring on our wonderful guest. So those of you who are here for the first time, my name is Nikki T. That's what you can call me. My name is Nicole. That's what you can call me. My business is Lady T's Exotics. I am a breeder, and I'm also a social media influencer. What I do for this podcast is I like to bring on different people in different pockets of the hobby where we discuss reptiles and other things. This goes deep sometimes. I was just warning my guests. I might ask a question, and next thing we know, we can be in a whole therapy session with each other. But I definitely enjoy doing this because I like to introduce the people who are in the other pockets of the reptile community as well that other people may not know. However, they're very passionate about the animals, can offer different perspective on keeping those animals and just share their passion. I have learned and seen some amazing things in people through doing this. So that's what this is about. And let's get some on in the background because I can't play my jingle bells, no version of it. I'll figure it out. I think what I'm gonna do is, and Wiz, you should do it too, is we're gonna get a BMG account and we're gonna be able to say we do own rights through BMG. And I think that'll help us in the future with playing the music we want to play. So let's bring our guest. Our guest is Hannah and friends, and we're going to find out how many friends Hannah has, and then just what is her passions, and learn more about her, including what part of the country that she's in. You ready?
Yeah. Yeah.
So you want to formally introduce yourself, like, to everyone?
Sure. My name is Hannah. I am 25. I have 5 friends currently, but I'm open to having more. And I am actually from the Philadelphia area. So go Birds. I know they're not doing great right now, but it's always go Birds. So
you're closer to me. So the funniest thing is, fun fact, the company I just retired from is in King of Prussia, Morgan Properties.
Oh, really?
Yes, I used to always be in Philadelphia. I used to always be up in King of Prussia. So it's rare that I meet other people who are that close to me, honestly. Normally they in Florida, Texas. Yeah. So we hook up sometimes, for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I know that mall is huge. Speaking of Christmas shopping, that mall is crazy right now.
And my bonus daughter's favorite mall, like she that's where she likes to go, and you get lost there for sure. Definitely.
Yeah.
Yep. Brittany asked a question. Hey Brittany, do you have a YouTube, Hannah?
I do not. I was considering starting one just because, go Birds. But I was considering starting one when TikTok didn't have the 10-minute option because there were things I wanted to show that would take a long time.
Right.
But not currently. I have a TikTok that I do a lot of reptile content, and then I have my Instagram. So, yeah.
Got you. And which one, TikTok or Instagram? Which one do you prefer, and for what? For what reason?
It depends. If I want to go on and scroll and just look at little noodles or something, I will go on Instagram. TikTok just makes me laugh, but I know if I open the app, I'm going to be on it for about 3 hours at the minimum. So I'm if I don't have time, I can't go on TikTok because it'll just suck me in immediately.
Absolutely. I get sucked up in too. So I don't know if y'all know this, so I'm not a big makeup person, right? But I started to fall onto these TikTok lives where they would show how you actually, girl, why I just gone to Sephora one day, lost my mind. Now I'm that person who literally right now I have on none, but literally every day I want to just at some point, and it could be at night, Hannah, it could be 7 o'clock at night, just to sit there and do my eyes and then end up taking it off an hour later. Just because
That's
of these people. It's addictive. Y'all are bad people. Y'all have gotten me into, and that stuff expensive. Y'all makeup is expensive. The brushes are expensive. I'm I spent $334 in Sephora, and I don't know shit about doing makeup. But them girls have taught me a whole lot. And it's fun. Doing different things to your face. And some days I might not even do any foundation and just do the eyes. It's so much fun.
I mean, the eyes are the best part. I'm a makeup girly. I love doing my makeup. My boyfriend can attest. I will show up to his house with like a full smoky eye on, and we're just gonna sit and watch TV. And he's fine with it, but like they get me to buy so much stuff. That's the other thing about TikTok is I'm like, well, now I have to buy that and I have to buy that, and it's dangerous.
But it's also good for entrepreneurs because there are a lot of people who are selling a lot of their amazing products that we wouldn't otherwise. I have seen makeup brands. I bought this vegan makeup. It's called chocolate something. It's upstairs. When I tell you it's better than my Rihanna, my Fenty beauty stuff. Like, I love it so much. So TikTok is a good form for giving whoever it is that exposure. Because like you were talking about scrolling, I stopped on, I don't know if y'all watch this. Have y'all ever stopped on a lady in Asia somewhere and she's doing pedicures and she's digging down into people's big toe, and it's like it's never ending? Oh my God, if y'all ever stumble on it, it's going to be the worst thing you ever stumble on, but you can't stop watching.
It's like Dr. Pimple Popper, but on TikTok with toes.
I'm like, why are we even watching this? All right, so Hannah, what animals do you have? What are your 5 friends?
Okay, so I started with a rosy boa. His name is Ziggy. I got him so that I named him Ziggy so that my mom would hopefully not hate me for getting a snake, because her favorite artist is David Bowie. So
David Bowie, okay.
I named him Ziggy. So he was my first. He's wonderful. I have 3 ball pythons. I have Olive, and then Bagel, and Alfredo. And then I have the star of my TikTok is behind me. This is Betsy. She is a boa constrictor, and she is old. She was rehomed to me. I think she's 35.
Oh wow, she's that old?
She's really old. She's incredibly old. Like,
is that the one that's on the picture on the thumbnail?
Yeah, she's in great health.
She's in great condition. I wouldn't have never
She has like a little bit of a wheeze, but that's really only her only health issue.
But she's 35. That's great. So who kept her before? Who had her before?
It was a girl I went to high school with. And she was like, she texted me the one day and she was like, hey, I know you keep snakes. I have to rehome one. Do you want it? And I said, without even asking what it was, I was like, sure, I'll take her.
Right.
And then she told me later that it was a boa constrictor and that she had until tomorrow for me to pick her up. And I was like, okay, all right, I can do that. So I reached out to Gary, Constricted and Addicted. I reached out to him because at the time he was keeping a lot of boas.
Yeah.
We love Gary. And I just wanted to make sure like I knew what I was getting into. He gave me a lot of great advice. And then I picked her up the next day and she's been with me for about a year. And she's doing great. Like, I took her to the vet. And she like got her blood work done and everything was great. She's in great health, except she has like a little wheeze. So sometimes you'll hear her like, and it's just her breathing because she's old and she's like exerting herself so she gets out of breath. But
so how old was she when you got her?
34. I've only had her for about a year.
Wow.
And
so that person who had her before kept her. You don't see boas who live 35 plus years anymore.
Yeah.
Like, that's almost unheard of in captivity anyway. We don't know what's going on in the wild. But
I mean, I can't confirm it. The vet did confirm though she is very old. Like, they
that's
can't tell her
amazing.
exact age though.
Right. She's a very healthy looking, and the thing is, you're looking at that snake. And I was just telling somebody yesterday about boas. I get on TikTok a lot. A lot of times, people will inbox me questions about animals that they got from other breeders who may no longer. And that's more now, not to the fact that the breeder is ignoring them. It's a lot of breeders who came in the game and they're out, and so therefore you may not have contact with them. And I always tell people with the boa constrictors, what kills them fast is when we overfeed them. They are ones who should not be fed so often, and they can conserve that food energy for a very long time. Looking at that boa, whoever kept that boa could not have, like, they had to have a perfect, almost perfect feeding regimen for it, because that boa is in excellent shape for I would have expected it to be at all.
No, she's doing great. She is, when I took her to the vet, she said she was a little underweight. So I moved her up a rat size. I feed her every 2 weeks. She eats great. She's still super active. Like, I have like vertical options for her. I always find her up there. Like, she's always like up in this little like tree thing I made her, which is really cute. But she's doing great, and she's very sweet, and I love her so much. So yeah, those are my 5.
Do you know if she was ever bred? Like, did anyone ever breed her?
I know the girl I got her from did not.
Okay.
Possibly before,
Okay.
because she got her from someone else.
Okay. I would be curious too if she wasn't bred, if that actually contributed to also her living as long as she did, so healthily anyway.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. So you said that you would be willing to get more. So out of the animals that you do have, what animal that you would love to have that you do not have?
Oh my goodness.
Not the far-fetched animal like me, like the alligator is definitely one I would have. I'm talking like the one that you really could have in the house that you're in now, if you could.
I mean, I don't have any room currently for more. My boyfriend and I are moving in. We're getting an upgrade. So I will have more room. I have a morph market list that's like a mile long. But he wants to get a hognose because he thinks they're cute. He likes how like sassy they are. My personal dream snake would be a rainbow boa. I love them. They're beautiful. Probably a Brazilian, but both of them are like amazing. I saw one in person and I was like in awe. So probably those 2, possibly another boa, but I know my limits of where I can, like what I can and can't keep. And for now, that's where my limit is.
And that's very important. And first of all, shout out to you, because most people who start keeping newly don't get that. So you got it really kind of like right away. And it's probably good because you was talking to wise people like Gary from Constricted Addicted. That's one of the things that I know when I, first got introduced to Gary, watching his videos on YouTube specifically, he would share, and remind people like, he did it. We've all, like, for me, what keeps me controlled is not me, it's my husband. Like, my husband being here to say no and putting his foot down, I can honestly tell you if he didn't, I would be probably out of control. And not on the snakes as much, but more on the lizards.
Yeah.
Like, I think I would go a little crazy on the lizards for sure. Hey, Bosa. Bosa, I was actually telling Hannah about you prior to us going live, about you, this being your first podcast as well. And that, I really like those interviews. Those are the people that I actually choose. Like, my next guest will be Nikki from Irresistible Balls. It will be Nikki's first podcast next week. And I'm super excited. Nikki is someone who's followed me, been very supportive of me. Thank you, Stan. And I don't even, we don't have no personal relationship. We just know each other she just realized that I also went by Nikki. She didn't even know that. So I love, as I was telling you, Hannah, I love these platforms for those reasons, specifically TikTok, because where I get to see more of the cool people like you and the Nikkis and everybody else is IG. You can see it, but there's a lot going on IG. Where on TikTok, it's normally like a little bit more creativity. So yeah, a little bit more eye-catching. You get to see more of the details, and far more people are more receptive to what I would say the unfamiliar communication on TikTok.
Yeah, absolutely. And you get to see people's like sense of humor, and you get to see what makes them laugh. Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. This podcast, Sherry. So funny. Most have been on the road. Brittany, don't laugh at him. He's been on the road. All right. So, what With the do you ever foresee like if you had the space, like what would be your ideal reptile experience? You know, being newer, has breeding any form of the animals come to your mind, whether it's snakes or lizards or anything, or you just love the keeping part of it?
I mean, I do. I love the keeping part. I like being able to spend time with each of my animals. Because I have 5 snakes. There's 5 weekdays, so every snake is a day that I like take them out, hold them, give them the attention they need. I would love to breed one day. I would just need to do, again, I know my limits, and I would need to do so much more research and how to do it properly, how to do it so like the snakes are all healthy, and I would have to go back to bio and relearn basically how to do Punnett squares. So
so when I bred the retics, it was a guy that I met in the retic nation, and he actually did one for me because I totally forgot how to do Punnett squares. Like I was like, I know it was a box and the rabbit head, it was a black rabbit head, a brown rabbit head, like I remember all that. So he actually did one for me. So what I do is because, and I'm sharing this because this is important that you put up the Punnett squares. Morph market, for example, is not always correct. And one of the things that he was showing me was how the morph market calculator was wrong on a specific breeding. And using the Punnett square going forward, when I do it with my ball python breedings and everything, I understand how to verify that now, if that makes sense. Yeah. Just saying that this is right. You know, and his name was Leonardo. Shout out to Leonardo. He's out in Texas. And that's another thing. We were talking about meeting strangers. This man didn't know me from Adam. But he sat there, and I think we spent about 30 minutes on the phone just talking about this particular pairing, the Punnett square, like ways to identify this genetic mixed with this. And like we was just doing so much. That's the type of people I like. And I actually shouted him out because you don't get that a lot, especially in the retic community. You don't normally get people who just so, reaching out to educate and help you, and who spend that time doing that. It's very few people that is that way. And like I said, he's not a big breed or anything like that. He's someone who's looking to breed and has done years and years of educating himself on those breedings and those pairings, and he's willing to share that information. So that's very important to understand, because it's not just simple as putting animals together. You need to understand what you're doing. I know with ball pythons, for me, Hannah, I don't think that I would ever have the knowledge that I had on the genetic side until I started breeding. I tell people it all the time. Keeping them, I kept them for years. I never bred anything until after 32 years. Breeding them now is how the knowledge for the understanding the morphs, because there are morphs in ball pythons that I say bred from the same parents, that these two animals have the same genetics, but they don't look alike. If you don't see that, right? You're assuming that because they're the same morph, they should look almost identical, but sometimes they don't. So that's a great understanding it.
Yeah. I know the one I would breed, because I have my ball pythons, I have a normal, I have a super fire, and I have Bagel is a banana sterling. Okay. So I would love to breed like banana babies and like different combos one day, because I know he has some like cool genes in him. But the other two, I don't know. It depends. Because like Olive is just a normal, and I love him. Like, don't listen, Olive. It's not that you're just a normal, but for breeding purposes.
Love it, right? For breeding purposes. But Elias is still in here. We love normals. I always make a joke. I think Key shared one time. It was a post about, how people share their different pairings and stuff like that. Someone goes, well, what is that? And it's the response, well, it's a normal. Don't worry about it. You're going to love it anyway. Yep.
Yeah, he is. Olive is definitely the one I take to like meet people, meet kids. He's so friendly. He's so good with people. He'll let you just like pet his head. He doesn't care. Like, I took him out to meet my 5-year-old cousin. She was petting him like a dog, and he was like just chilling with it. Like, he is the sweetest snake in like the entire world. So yeah, but he's boring, but I think he's beautiful.
So do you think if you never got the boa constrictor, like did you like reptiles in general and that person knew that you liked them, or was it like, here's a snake?
No, she followed my Instagram. She messaged me on my reptile Instagram. She's like, hey, I do keep reptiles. Here's a boa constrictor. But I'm so thankful that she gave me Betsy. Like, Betsy is the light of my life. She's so funny, very sweet. She's the best.
We're talking about that. So one of the things we touched on, and I didn't ask you what yours was, but I explained we always ask, because everybody in this chat who owns snakes, they also got one of these disabilities. I hate to call it a disability, but it really is, y'all. What is your thing? What is your what is your, I don't want to say this, what is your thing that drives you to the reptiles, or that thing that you do possess that the reptiles help? Let's say that.
Definitely, I have like some mental health issues, some mental illness. I have bipolar disorder. I also have ADHD. I'm neurodivergent. So they calm me down. They lift my mood. And the thing I've always thought about is, like, I got Ziggy at the very beginning of the pandemic. He helped get me through that entire first part of the pandemic. Like, I was going through a breakup. I was in like virtual, like, what do they call it? PHP, which is partial hospitalization. Like, I was virtually in like very intensive therapy because I was extremely depressed at the beginning of the pandemic. And like Ziggy, and then when I got Olive that May, like, just got me through all of that, because I knew even if I couldn't like get out of bed to take care of myself, they still needed me.
That's right.
And I was going to be there for them. I couldn't do them a disservice by not caring for them.
It's that part, y'all. Like, so I shared a story of when I first had my hysterectomy, and how, like, you just had surgery. I wanted to come home, not because I didn't want to be in the hospital. I was wondering what my animals was going through, knowing that I wasn't there. And then when I finally came home and I wasn't supposed to climb the steps, my husband and son knew how important it was that my animals saw me. They were literally, and I'm going to say at that time, carrying my fat ass from upstairs to downstairs to see the animals, and then bring me all the way back up. But it was my motivation to heal faster too, was I wanted to clean my animals. I don't want to watch y'all doing it on FaceTime. You know what I mean? I want to clean my animals myself. When it goes to what you just talked about, and I have to say this, y'all, I say it so seriously when I tell people a reptile can save your life. Because mental illness is not something I'm foreign to. My daughter suffered from it. Bipolar, schizophrenia. People may not know it, manage through it, just like people may not know that you go through it, because but when I tell you that knowing that someone had those 5 animals downstairs has saved people from killing themselves plenty of times. And we don't share the mental benefit that these animals have enough. And I think if we did, that people would take the stigma off of them. Like, sometimes people see us on IG and stuff, like you said, we're posing with a snake. It's not about that. We're trying to bring awareness to how beautiful this snake is, not how we are, how beautiful this animal is, how excited it is that this animal will actually associate with us in the same space, and that these animals bring us joy. Very seldom do you see a person on IG or Instagram with a snake in their hand and they're not smiling. And I don't care what their day was like. I don't care what it started off as. So I asked the question of all my guests, because there has not been one person who has said, hey, Ken, nothing, never had an issue. Like Ken shared, it saved him from drug addiction. Ken is very, he repeats that repetitively. People need to know that we have a cure, maybe, you know, for a lot of people if they suffer from a drug addiction. Would I love to just handle somebody a ball python or a ball constrictor instead of them thinking they need a needle or a pipe? That is powerful, but no one is testing it. I reached out to NIH myself right here in the DMV. Please just test these theories. Test them how. I have a girlfriend who just started her own mental practice. I told her about it. I sent her an inbox. Hey, when you got time and you can settle, let's sit down. Let's talk about how we can actually demonstrate this. I would love to do it in a classroom of special needs children. I've raised a special needs son that I promise you that he didn't suffer from the levels of depression that other kids with special needs have, not being understood, not being wanted, not being wanting to be friends and things like that, because he had animals. And those animals is all he cared about. He didn't really need that connection of friendship because he had animals.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, they definitely did save my life, because I would have these suicidal urges, and I would think, well, no one else is going to care for those snakes like I do, and they're not going to love them like I do. Yep. So I have to stay here for them. And then getting out of bed to care for them helped me. Like, getting out of bed is the hardest part when you're depressed, honestly. Like, just starting anything. Yep. So once I was out of bed, it was so much easier. And it would be my dream to, go around and, show little kids or special needs kids, all of my animals, because they don't have that, predisposal to think of them as, gross or evil. They're genuinely curious. As a kid, before we get conditioned to, think reptiles are scary and dangerous, right, they're very curious. They want to know more about them. And I think that's a great time to teach them that, hey, they're not dangerous. They're actually very kind. And if you had no arms or legs, you would bite people too.
Absolutely. That's what I always say. Look, it's not like they can punch you,
Mm-hmm. It's their only defense.
That's your only defense. And they don't have, because they don't have arms and legs, they don't have a lot of time to negotiate that response. Because it's not like they can rid you off once they realize you really are approaching. They have to make a quick decision. Am I going to strike first or not? And that's important, and getting people to understand that. And that's the importance of the proper way of using social media. You know what I mean? I would definitely looking at that boa. This is people don't see old boas anymore, So this is a older boa. This is the reality. We always say these animals can live 30 plus years. You have the reality of it, So sharing that and that people see that, if you do, like you said, you may not know all the history, but for you to keep it alive, even from 34 to 35, in fact, your care of that animal has to be more on point than it needed to be even 20 years ago, because you're dealing with the elderly boa. And so the fact that animal is still healthy, still moving around, still active, still eating, kudos to you.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, all I had to do is just be there for her. She's great. She's in great health. She's so sweet. Doesn't have any behavioral issues, because I know in the past she was in a home with bigger dogs, and that's actually why she had to rehome her, was because the dogs were terrorizing poor Betsy. Right. And I thank her, because it's very hard as a reptile owner to realize I need to rehome my pet. And she realized, and she rehomed her to me, and that was the greatest blessing. She is truly the best. Aww. She's just a big, gentle old lady.
I love it. See, Ken said, I went through depression, and for sure it was definitely hard to leave the house. I'm going to share a secret with you guys. It was something, I actually just ordered it. I told my husband, I want him, you can't look into it, but they got these vitamin D lamps. So they are actually these lamps that you can have in your house. Mine is more like a LED mirror, I want to say. Mm-hmm. The hardest part is not looking into it. So I suggest that you put it behind you, because it's so tempting. If you put it on the side, on the front, and when I tell you, it's like the sun being right here. Mm-hmm. So you don't want to do that with your eyes, but it's supposed to help you to want to lift up out of that spirit of depression in the morning. Or if you live places like we live in Pennsylvania, in Maryland, it gets dark really, this time of year really, really soon. And we don't get a lot of time during the daytime because it's cold to be outside. So, well, it helps us in the wintertime. So I actually been using it and I love it. And what I find, like for me, I like to work out in the morning. It helps me work out in the morning. It helps me.
Yeah. I have one too, actually. Yeah, my psychiatrist recommended it. He was like, I know you get that seasonal depression every year. Buy a light therapy lamp. And I did.
Get your one. I'm telling you, it is amazing. But is it hard for you not to look into it?
He didn't warn me that I wasn't supposed to look at it. So the first time I turned it on, I was like,
woo, right.
I'm blind.
Yes, try it. And I would even recommend that for your wife going through the chemo. Talk to your doctor, of course, but I'm sure it don't hurt her. It probably would definitely help, especially in the mornings when she's having pain and things like that. Vitamin D is the natural resource that we're supposed to have, all of us. Most of us, especially us on the East Coast, is deficient of it naturally. So to be able to, whoever idea to create this, what I can tell you is it changes your mood. If you wake up in the morning and you're feeling like, I just don't want to do today, and you put that light on, don't look into it, but just sit there for like about 5 to 10 minutes, it lifts you up. And the next thing I know, I'm out the bed and I'm ready to go. And I also don't recommend it using too much at night because I think it does have some type of adverse effect if
it definitely messes with like your rhythm. Yeah. But in the morning it's great.
Amazing. It's amazing. And it wasn't expensive. It was a cheap little, cheap considering for the effects that it has anyway.
Yeah, it was like $35 for mine.
Yeah.
And I'm sure you can tell I don't go outside much. So I needed it and it helped so much.
Well, like I said, most of us, even if we do, right now, in the areas we live, we don't get the adequate amount of vitamin D that we need, and it's important to our happiness for sure. Stan, so let me tell you, I don't know what it is. Well, I can tell you this right here came from my grandson. So, but over the last 2 weeks, I feel like I had 3 different strains of something, but none of them like hit me and knocked me on my butt. It's just like 1 week I completely woke up, my voice was gone. I had to cancel one show because it was nothing coming out. It was, I don't know what it was, but I didn't feel sick. Then I had one day where I felt a little achy, but I didn't feel sick. I just felt a little achy. Then now it's whatever this is. It's actually in here somewhere, but it's not like draining or anything that makes me feel like it's a full blown out cold. But Michael got it too. Whatever it is, Michael got it. I'm just able to function with it. And I swear I believe that I'm not getting as sick as I would be under my current eating habits. But other than that, it sounds bad, Stan, but I feel fine. It's really weird, but definitely it's something going out in the air. And the grandkids, when they come to school, when they come here, we always going to get a strain of something. We don't know what it is. We don't get something.
Yeah, I work in a pharmacy, and it's just, we are constantly out of antibiotics, constantly out of Tamiflu. Like everyone is sick right now. I just recovered from bronchitis, but my voice always sounds like this. So
it's crazy. Like they were talking about it, here, how so many adults are getting RSV right now. Yeah.
It's been RSV, it's been the flu, COVID. It's just like something viral too, because my entire pharmacy, like we all got sick at like different times. Right. So we were all like staggering being out of the pharmacy and taking days off. But
because when one person starts to cure, the next person gets
yeah. It was just like in succession, like we all just took like a few days off. But none of us had COVID, flu, RSV. It was just something viral. So there's definitely things going around right now.
Definitely. And so do you do like, what about outside of the reptiles? What other hobbies or things you like doing outside of the reptiles? Like the hair, I know. Okay, because we're going to talk about the creativity on the hair.
Yes. Hair and I am such a hair and makeup girl. I don't mind going like barefaced, but it's like my art therapy for me. it's almost like painting, where I can just sit down, but my face is my canvas. I
Right.
enjoy doing that. The gym is another thing. I love lifting. It keeps me like more stable as a bipolar person, and I just fell in love with it. I do that and yoga. I love heavy metal. I like going to shows, stuff like that. And then honestly, my job occupies a lot of my time because I don't know if you've ever been in a pharmacy, but they're always just running around doing so much stuff. So when I get home,
they
I'm just
started
like,
opening the pharmacies where you can see everybody working, that you
Mhm.
realize. So one of my girlfriends, my close friends for 30 plus years, she's a pharmacist. And when she complained about how stressful work would be, we would look at her, you are a pharmacist, you put medicines together, you know. What I didn't know is like how many, and let me say non-crackhead type of people who come in with like the fake prescriptions, like the normal looking people, like, and dealing with those type of battles throughout the day. And that there are even times where the pharmacy is like being like attacked by people who won't prescribe a prescription that they know damn well they shouldn't have. So you get to learn different perspectives of people's jobs. So to the answer to you, it wasn't until they started opening like the pharmacy where you can see all the work that's going behind those doors, that you realize how busy and how intense it actually is.
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, I used to work for CVS, and I know they are not, like, everyone hates CVS. I'm a CVS hater after working there.
I like CVS. But my prescription
is good. Like, the people that work there are great. It's just the company. If you're ever frustrated with the CVS of them not having your meds ready or anything, I promise you it is not the people. It's the way they structure their company that is just insane to me. They purposely understaff so that they can save money, and that in turn makes everyone in the pharmacy very, very stressed. So I don't know. I left like a year ago because it was making my mental health very, very, very bad. But if you are ever frustrated at someone at CVS, I promise you they are doing everything they can. It's just pharmacy in general is very fast-paced, very stressful work, and CVS is like the worst of it, honestly. Yeah.
So Brittany, to your statement, that's Brittany. One of the reasons why I always tell my guests I'm going to ask that question, because I think it's important. As a mother who didn't even identify that my daughter suffered from mental health, and I just didn't. Like, in fact, it took me a long time to even accept it. And what I mean by that is that what's wrong with you? Like, you had a perfect life, you know, this, you know, you didn't have the struggles other people had. Like, not understanding what it was until it got bad. You couldn't deny it. And I would tell you it was the worst time of my life, because as a mother, you can't control if the next day is going to be your child is okay or not, type of thing. So for me, and I share that, if anybody was Facebook friends, when I was going through that with my child, it was public. I didn't hide it or anything, because first of all, I needed help. And it was so many people that I knew who inboxed me who was going through it themselves or dealt with it. And I'm like, wait a minute, all of y'all, and no one talked about it? Like, I'm thinking it's just this weird thing is happening in my family. I was traveling at work. I had one of my coworkers who literally, she said, come on, we're going to get a massage. And she started telling me about her niece who was all together and just one day away at college, pursuing her PhD, just losing. And I'm like, oh, every platform I have, and this is before I even had this platform, but it would incorporate. One of my very first episodes was about mental health, because I think, to Brittany's point, so many people just won't talk about it. Mm-hmm. And so many people don't realize how many other people are just like them. And although everybody are not the same level, like some people manage it better than others. So, but I say that to say this. When what was his name? Cobain. The one who used No, not Kurt.
What was
One,
I said
but
like-
that's a good point too. But the one who used to travel and eat everywhere.
Anthony Bourdain.
Yes, Bourdain.
Mm.
Now, I was a big fan. I used to watch him go everywhere and eat, and you thought he had the perfect life. From the outside looking in, that's what I wanted to do. I wanted to be him. And at the end, he was able to travel the world. He was given exposure to places that most people would never see. But the one thing we take for granted is family. So yes, he traveled. He saw a lot of beautiful things, but it took him a lot away from the people that he loved, which on top of him suffering from depression made his depression even worse. And he's not here today because he didn't come out and tell us that. I truly believe that. And the reason why he didn't come out and tell us that, he was so busy trying to make us happy and everybody else in the world happy with the image of who he was, that he felt it was better for him to leave this earth, not telling us that, so he don't have to deal with our disappointment. It is so important to talk about mental health. It's so important to be candid about it. It's so important to see, because some people think they can look at you and, you know, I remember a girl telling me one time, she thought she was so unattractive. And we're looking at her like she the most beautiful thing we've ever seen. You know what I'm saying? Like, but because of her mental, she really in her head, that's what she saw. And she felt like we was just saying it to make her feel better. And then so she resented stuff like that. Because in her mind, she had already convinced herself no matter what nobody else said. This is what I think to myself. Could you imagine looking in the mirror and not even seeing what other people see?
Yeah, your brain lies to you a lot.
Yes.
Like, it's a very unreliable narrator sometimes.
So talk about it. It's a relief. It's not taboo anymore. If it is, it should be. Like I said, we all got some type of disability. It's just that we all have different. You guys have never seen me go into what I call an anger rage. I shared with Hannah, mine is, and they already know anger management. Y'all have never seen it because it's suppressed. My husband has. And if you saw it, it is so rageful that you wouldn't know me. You wouldn't know that girl. You wouldn't know me at all. There's nothing you can do to keep me from my target or anything. Like, it's this rage. And I remember being younger, knowing that level of rage was dangerous, but not being able to control it. Like, you ever sit there and you try to sit there and you try to calm your own stuff down, but trying to calm yourself is making yourself even better. So telling people, I am very honest. When people even come for me, I tell people I'm not the person to come for. I am very unstable when you come for me. I don't know how to tell y'all that. I might show up at your front door. Like, I am not the typical. So leave me alone. Leave me over here. I don't want to go crazy. I just don't want to do that. I want to put that behind me. But I am very honest with it. Like, my family know. Like, if you're talking to one of my sisters or my brother, they will tell you, like, she ain't wrapped you tight when you got a man. You might want to just chill out. You know what I mean? But other people from the outside looking in, because I always had to hold myself, being poised. I had to always, especially being work, because I couldn't mess up my money when I was working. So I couldn't just bust off at work and just start, turning over tables like I wanted to sometimes in the boardroom. That wouldn't have worked well. They probably got me locked up too. That might not have been a good thing either. But not being able to control it. And I think that one of the things that I enjoyed when I would say that to people, and people always, or some people were like, oh my God, but you're so nice. I choose to be. But when you cross that line, Lord, I can't control it. So I choose to be nice so I don't have conflicts. I choose to meet people and say hi and smile. Well, there are not conflicts, because in conflicts, it's I'm not the same person. And that's even I'm 50 years old. You would think that I'm answered by now.
Yeah. No. For a while, I was just in complete denial that I even had any issues, and I would get prescribed medication, and then bipolar people are famously non-compliant with taking medication. So I'd be like, I don't need these. I'm fine without them. Immediately go off them and just nosedive. And being open about like the struggles I've had and how I didn't accept it at first, but like what I do now to keep myself stable has allowed me to connect with so many people that I never thought I would know anything about or be able to relate to. And so I do think being open about it is extremely important. It's allowed me to make a lot of new friends. You'd think it would drive people away, but it really doesn't, because a lot of people relate.
A lot of people can relate, and it makes a lot of people open up more too. And then it creates whole different pockets of like-minded people. You know who saves people? Like-minded people. When you call me, right? So when my daughter would say, whatever's going on, I'm looking at her like, what the hell's wrong with her, right? I'm talking about as a mother. Who the hell she thinks she's talking as a mother? Not realizing she's really out of her mind, right? So when the flip side of it is, once you educate, so now how, let's say if she's been doing really, really well, she hasn't, but if she had an episode, I know how to respond with more empathy. Yeah. Because as a mother, it's like I said, you had the perfect, what are you mad about? Why are you angry? What's going on? Like, why are you responding this way? You don't know. And I will also say as a mother, it's nothing to do with how the child was raised. So I think sometimes we give our kids a whole bunch of stuff. We have the ability to, my daughter said to me one time, I said to her, I said, but what do you mean? I said, you're the only child I know who can call for this, and this, and you get it. So I was a financial provider, right? But I didn't know how to provide to the mental illness part of it, if that makes sense, because I couldn't relate to the mental illness. If it was when all those other people, when I started talking about it, started saying, me too, or if I experienced this, one of my close friends that I grew up with, like the girl who dressed me for my junior and senior prom, had reached out to me and said, I dealt with it, and this is what I want you to do. This is what's your best thing to do. Like, that was just phenomenal to have the support of people that I trust.
Yeah. Yeah,
to help.
My mom was very similar in that my parents are wonderful. I have literally nothing they did mess me up besides pass genetics down to me that made me predisposed to this. But my mom, she didn't get it at first, and it's very understandable. She was like, well, what did I do wrong? I'm like, you didn't do anything wrong. I just need you to understand. And she has been amazing at being able to like learn about mental illness and what my issues are, and she's so supportive now, and I'm so thankful for it. But like it was not her fault at all. Like, she didn't mess me up raising me at all. It was just what I was predisposed to having. So.
And I don't think that, even with talking about that, Hannah, like, if we didn't have our family experiences, it actually adds to different stuff too. So a lot of times people don't use drugs because they wanted to use drugs. They go to drugs because they're trying to cope with the mental illness, not realizing that's what they're doing to themselves as well. So it's like, when you talk about the educational part of it, I learned so much, I learned that most of the country are suffering from mental illness of some way, shape, or form. And yet it is that me in this pocket didn't have to experience it like that head on until that happened in our family with her. So definitely, when we talk about it, y'all, the cool thing is that it's easier in our community to talk about it more, because more of us can identify with it.
We've all got it.
Yeah. I think it's easier. That's one of the blessings of the reptile community. Like, to say to somebody in the reptile community, well, as you can see, and I would use an example. You said it, and no one had like a shocking reaction to bipolar, to schizophrenic. At 15 years ago, if you was in your classroom and said that to a friend, they would be terrified.
They would have treated me like a ticking bomb. Like,
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And people don't react to it that way no more because we talk about it. especially on this podcast, it's no longer taboo here.
Yeah, and I love that. I mean, I always tell my friends, I'm like,
hey, Jules.
Oh, also, yeah, I just saw the comment. My pets help me so much with my depression, like so much. But I just lost my train of thought. I'm sorry. Oh, I was telling like my one friend the other day, she's like, you're gonna judge me so hard for what I've done. And I'm like, why would I judge you? Like, we all have our issues. We all have the hand of cards we were dealt for life. And I'm never gonna judge you, because when I was denying that I had any issues, I probably did worse. So like my friends know that I am someone they can come to, that I will never judge them for anything they've done ever, or like how they're acting, never, because I think having like these issues, especially when I was younger, made me a lot more of a compassionate and understanding person.
And I think definitely that, but you also have the advantage of when it comes from a health perspective. It's easier to help somebody else when you go through it yourself. Like,
yeah.
The other person don't have to imagine. So two people understanding the real reality of it and coming together and helping to resolve whatever that person is going through is definitely better than having the one person who's just don't think that this is even possible, that a person can go from being one person this moment to another person the other moment. You know, you're still sitting around like saying, what's wrong with her? Who she thinks she's talking to? And it's their reality. It's their reality. Yeah. So I appreciate you opening up about it. And anybody who ever come on the show, you'll get that question. And I say it to you, let you know, because I know it's something there. Like I kept saying, I don't know how to say this, but I know it's something there. I like to call it a disability because I think anger and management is a disability. It's something that you are out of control in. So you're disabled to manage your anger. So it is a disability, up to the point that you can actually find ways to control it. So absolutely. Have your pets help you with depression? Oh, that's the one that you was answering. Absolutely.
Yeah.
So much. I mean, like I said, we hear it all the time. Hey, Matt. So, Matt, now that I'm vegan and I can't have your bacon, but what I did do was I made that sauce and I put it on some mushrooms and it was amazing. I put it on some mushrooms and then put it in the air fryer. It was amazing.
Oh, the air fryer is so good.
Yes. Like Matt from the Ball Python Project. Actually, he's from PA too. Matt at the cookouts would make the most amazing bacon you ever was going to taste. Like it was like this smoked habanero type of tasting bacon. Good. And when I would tell you I could eat and have eaten literally a whole pan and a half by myself, that good.
Oh, that sounds so good. Oh my god.
We'll work it out, Jules. Everybody shines so they come here, and then we all make them unshine. She always supports this channel, not just financially. It's always every month. It seems like it's some type of super chat or something from Joelle. So I appreciate you, Jules, so much. Absolutely, Judge Free Zone all day. Brittany has been a member of this channel forever, but doesn't have an animal yet. Keep saying that she's going to get one. But I can tell you this, Brittany should be the most informed person because she follows like all of the podcasts that I'm associated with as well. So talking about the education piece that you talked about.
Yeah.
Did you already have the experience of knowledge about your boa before you contacted Gary, or it was just like, Gary, I need it from A to Z?
So I was doing some research. I do follow some people that also keep boas. I knew what size enclosure she had before. I wanted to give her a little bit of an upgrade. I knew humidity was going to be something that was going to be hard, like enclosure wise, to keep up. But I just wanted to reach out to Gary because I've never handled a boa before. I wanted to know what their temperaments were like in general. I wanted to know if there was anything I should watch out for. But Betsy's just a gentle giant. So, and Gary was very helpful because I had to give her a bath when I first got her. She had shed in patches. So I had to give her a bath, and I had never handled a snake that big before. And I was like, Gary, help. But he was really helpful with like what temperature, what I should do. And Betsy loves her bath. She gets one probably every time she sheds, like right before. And she won't want to get out of the bath. Like she'll just be sitting there.
All of my big snakes are the same. Right after shed, and literally, with the retics, I love it. It's almost like they're in a jacuzzi or something, and you go in there and flick a little on them, and they be like, "Leave me alone. You don't see me. I'm not here. You know, don't take me out yet." So I normally just take them off and let them come out when they're ready.
Yeah, when I first put her in, she immediately tries to escape, panics, and I'm like, you like this, like calm down. And then I put I have a little lid with a bunch of air holes in it. I'll put the lid on and I'll just let her soak for like 20, 25 minutes. And then I open it up and she's like, don't take me out, please. Like, she's like, so funny. I know.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. I'm responding to Brittany's comment. And this is the fact, Brittany. People always tell me how big my snakes is. I don't realize how big they are, honestly. I mean, they heavy, don't get me wrong. When you grow up with it too, sometimes you don't even realize that snake is growing. So if you look at a picture, the snake is this size, and then you look at another picture, you're like, wow, it grew that much. You don't realize it because you're growing with the snake. So in that case, if you don't have any experience with a boa, but that's what you want, because I believe that regardless of what that animal is, you get what you want because you're going to take care of what you want. As much as I don't think a retic is somebody's first snake, you know, I've seen people get retics as a first snake because they wanted one so bad, and take care of that first snake, treat that first snake like a baby, build the biggest daggone enclosure for that first snake because they're so passionate about that animal. So it's not impossible. So just to give you some comfort and give him some comfort, you don't realize until someone tell you, can you go get that black and white snake that you had? And then one day you go pick it up, and you're like, oh my God, like, oh, you happy. Like, it wasn't like that before, you know? So it's fun. I would tell you that as far as handling, big snakes are very confident. Like Betsy is very confident. Betsy knows, even at 35 years old, if I want to, you know, do what I need to do to defend myself, I could. I don't have to. And then most snakes know that, and you teach them that as babies, they grow up to be big snakes who just don't feel a need to defend themselves. Yeah,
no, she's very chill. She's like, I'm too old for this. But yeah, with the ball pythons even, like I'll bring them out as they're growing. People are like, oh my God, they're so big now. And I'm like, really? Like, are they?
You don't see it. Like you do not see it at all. It just happens overnight type of thing. Now, if you would have your wish, let me reverse. What have been your experiences in the reptile community? And I would say, have they been all favorable, or what do you see that we should improve on as a community?
Ooh, okay. I've had a lot of very favorable experiences. I've met a lot of wonderful people that have taught me a lot. I did recently, I think you saw, I made a post about r/ball python on Reddit about how I'm subscribed to r/ball python, and I had to get off of it because there were so many people posting their injured ball pythons that were preventable. Like they had been burned by heating pads. The one that got me to eventually get off the subreddit is that someone had tried to remove a stuck eye cap with tweezers and blinded their poor snake. And it, like, that part, I don't know what we can do about it. I guess just keep educating, because people get these animals and they're first time owners and I think, well, oh, it's a reptile, it can't feel love. Like, that means I don't have to provide a standard of care that is necessary. Or, oh, they
And they feel that
because they can't love, they can't feel pain or suffer or anything. Like, these animals, you owe them a good life because you have bought them or they've been rehomed to you. And they're your responsibility now. They're a big commitment. They can live, again, 35 years.
right.
So I don't know what we can do about it. I'm sure it's just continue to educate, continue to show people that these are animals deserving of love and care, just like any other animal. That's the only thing I've really seen is like inadequate care that makes me upset. Is like, or if they keep like their ball python in like a 20-gallon with like aspen and just one hide. I'm like, you gotta do more enrichment than that. Like, it just.
Now, what has been people's responses if you reach out? Like what is your approach when you're reaching out to people to suggest correction, or you just say, I'm not saying anything? I'm gonna touch it.
It depends. If it's someone like, most people I follow, I make sure like to curate that they are like very ethical in keeping, they know what they're doing. They provide their animals with like enrichment and love. Sometimes on the subreddit, I'd be like, don't keep your ball python on aspen, it molds. Like, but other than that, I just try to put out content that shows like the enormous capacity that reptiles have. Okay. Even if they can't love, I don't like that term, because I do think they can form a bond with their keeper and they differentiate between people and they can trust you, which is very important. Even if like they can't love, they still deserve the world and they have their own personalities, and I just like to show that. Because I've had so many people, my own boyfriend was like, I never saw snakes as cute before I met you. I never saw them as like something that had the potential to be very endearing until I met you.
My husband was the same way. Like now I see him and hear him down here at the enclosures. Hey, what's up, man?
Yeah.
What you doing? Like, yeah. Remember? You used to look at me crazy like, you talking to a snake? Now you down there talking to a snake.
Yep.
Or like, I haven't seen you. Like, man, where you at? Busy, where you at? I haven't seen you. I'm like, you down there looking for him, aren't you?
Yeah. Or you're like, can I hold Betsy again? I'm like, sure. Absolutely.
I mean, so to your point, when I tell people, if you don't believe that they can love, believe that they can trust. And love and trust go hand in hand. So please let them at least trust you, even if you don't think that, you can love them. I always say the worst feeling for a child, like when the mom drowned her kids in South Carolina, and I remember they saying the kids looking back at her from the back seat of the car, and then looking back at the front, realizing the car going in the water, and they're looking at their mom like, do you see this? Like, why isn't my mom trying to stop this? And she was the one that's hurting them. I relate that to snakes, like and other reptiles or other animals that depend on us. They depend on us to help them be cared for. If we abusing them or killing them, that is the image that I see. I see them looking out the back of that car window, like, what's up? Like, you're the one who's supposed to, you brought me here. You brought me in supposed to keep me in this world. And then you're going to be the one to treat me like this. It's one of the things that aggravates me the most, even on videos where we know snake bite. Right?
Yeah.
But you're constantly making that snake strike. That's painful for a snake to strike. Harmful to their teeth. They're supposed to do that very rarely, for purposes of eating. But even then, when they eat, they can properly strike. They know not to hit their mouth certain kinds of ways and stuff like that. They try to be very strategic in how they approach the grabbing of the animal. When we are sitting there and allowing them to do these things for videos and them snakes are hitting their heads and stuff like that, that just grinds my gears. I can do so much on social media for more likes and more viewers when it comes to these big animals that you won't ever see unless you're a member of my channel.
Yeah.
And those people pay for content to see. And even then, I present it in an educational way. I don't post a video and say, hey, look at my snake eating this rabbit and this. No, it's like, hey guys, this is the 30-minute video. This just shows you the process of reticulated python eating from the beginning to the end. That type of content. But I would never show even that, you know, and that's a natural process. Just to the public, just to get likes and views. If I did that, it's going educationally, and I feel like if somebody really wanted to see it, they'll pay that little premium to view it in the channel, and they can see it as much as you want. You know, if you request me to put something in there, I'll put that in there too. But those people also that typically pays to see their content aren't ratchet people who would take that information. Like, you've never seen anything that I post privately shared out ever, because they know that it's literally just for us.
Yeah, I do see one from Brittany. Have you ever been bit? I have been bit by every single one of my snakes, but I always stress every single time is that it was never their fault. It was always mine. Like with Betsy, the one day I like moved around her food in the fridge or the freezer. And then I thought because they were double bagged and I was just like shifting them somewhere that the scent wouldn't be on me. It was. And I did not properly recognize that she was tracking my hand as I went to go pick her up. She bit me. And that is not her fault. Like, she was an animal acting on instinct, and I should have been more careful. Because if a snake bites you, it's either they think you're food or they think they have no other option to defend themselves. And so whenever people are like, oh, this snake bit me, I'm like, but what did you do to the snake?
Yeah, it's always our fault, really. I was always tell in 35 years, I only got bit once. And that was 2 years ago, around this time last year. Actually, tomorrow will be the year to 2 days. It was Christmas Eve. Me and my son was in here doing some stuff for Christmas, and I accidentally hit one of the baby retics in the face while my son was holding it. And it was so funny because when she bit me, I was like, did you just bite me? You know, like, it was like more like, and I'm looking at her and she looking at me like, oh, I'm sorry, I didn't know it was you. You hit me in my face, so I had to hit you back. But now that I know it's we cool. It never struck again. It wasn't like it kept striking. It was just like, oops, sorry. Didn't know it was you.
Yeah, it was. Betsy thought I was food. Olive missed his rat and bit me by accident when I was like trying to. And then Bagel, the one time I accidentally, when I was putting him back, I like brushed him a little bit against a rock, and he thought it was something attacking him. He turned around and bit me. Like, none of that was ever their fault. And when I do mention that I have been bit by my snakes before, I always preface it with like, this was not their fault in the slightest. I don't like contributing to the stigma that snakes will bite you all the time and that's like some big shock that gets a lot of views. I don't like that. And so I always just make sure that if I am talking about the bite, being like, here's what I did wrong and here's how you can avoid this, and do not blame this animal because they were acting on their instinct. So
Brittany, I'm gonna answer this question first because I think I'm unique in this. So my retics are desensitized to the smell of the food. So for example, you see me, if you ever see me, I do videos where they can be in the rat room, they're non-reactive. However, as a practice, I would tell you yes, because let me tell you who you don't want to do that with, those damn boas and those boa pythons. They will, especially the boa. The boa don't care, they ain't apologizing. To me, the impact of a boa strike scares me more than it does than my retics. I swear to God. It's something about the power of the punch when it hits its food, the way it hits it real fast, like it's matter of fact. But boas don't play. So, Brittany, it should be a practice to always wash your hands after dealing with feeders, because I would hate for a boa to grab it and you're not getting it off until that boa gets finished with that rat.
Yeah.
That it thinks there.
Boas, very reliable eaters. Always wash your hands, even if you think you've just like, just touch the food, it's double bagged, it's fine. Always wash your hands. It's just good practice to even wash your hands before you pick up a snake, just to make sure there's no like lingering scents on your hands. And in between holding snakes too.
The funny thing is when you bring frozen thawed feeders in your house, just put them in the counter in the kitchen, for example. Walk around to your reptile room. You know who's quickly alert. They know it's the boas. They're like, hey, they at the glass. Like, you can put some food in there.
Yeah. They're always like,
yes, they like right there. They come out of nowhere, like right there. And you're not even necessarily in the room. So to what Hannah is saying, if that's a bag of something in a whole nother room behind thick plastic and everything, and they can smell it. Imagine a little drip of that smell or scent of that smell on your hands. So for me, and I tell anybody, my boys, I don't play with that. They're the only ones that I don't go in without a hook.
Yeah.
Unless they're already alert. I'm talking about like if they're already alert and they can see you can tell a difference. But I'm talking about where I will go in there and wake a retic up with my hand. I don't do that with the boas.
Yeah.
You never seen it. There's not a video recorded of me doing it, of any of that. You see that with retics. You find one video of me doing with a boa, I'll give you $200. Doesn't happen.
Yeah. And like once Betsy knows that she's not being fed that day, she's very chill. But you have to get them to that point. That I tell people, they're like, well, how do they not bite you every time you open their enclosure? Like, well, because I have a very specific routine for feeding and one for when I'm going to hold them.
Yep.
So that they know which one is which. And it makes it a lot simpler for them so they don't get, like confused or go for my hand or anything.
So, that's absolutely the same practices I use here. And even on feeding day, like when I'm going to feed, I try not to touch them for any other reason.
Yeah.
Like any reason, unless like sometimes you get the one who poops right between you throwing out the rabbit or some crab.
Yeah.
But you have to. But other than that, I try never to touch them when it's actually going to be a feeding day. Like I don't want them to ever confuse the two. And I think those are the mistakes that newer keepers make more than anything is simple stuff like that, because they may have kept a corn snake who is also very food driven. Don't get me wrong. A corn snake, I wouldn't put a mouse smell on my hand with a corn snake either. That's another one that you wouldn't do that with. But you have some animals that may not be non-reactive, and then you get these massive big animals. A peck from a corn snake is nothing compared to what I believe what that boa punch is. I've seen boas grab a extra large rat and literally annihilate that first part of the body with a squeeze. Like I've seen.
Yeah. Even Betsy's old. I fed her, I think 3 days ago, and she still has an extremely powerful strike at 35. And she never refuses a meal, I'll say that.
That's the cool thing about a boa, though.
Yeah,
if your boa refuses a meal, something's wrong. And that's the sad thing. They wouldn't I believe you could literally offer a boa food every day. Even though it would kill them, they would eat it. Like, I truly believe that. I believe, like, you ate yesterday, here you go, here's another one. It'll take it. And don't even think that it's killing itself. It will take it. And that's one of the things that I don't think is mentioned enough, because you'll hear newer people say, well, I fed it once a week, it eats. That doesn't mean it should. Boas and retics, for example, are opportunistic eaters. They're going to eat every chance they get, because in their heads, they never know when their next meal is going to come, technically. But that is not what happens in a while. They normally eat and then go hide off somewhere, and sometimes for months, especially in certain times of the year before they get another meal. And here we are shoving food at them constantly, giving them fatty liver disease. And then people wonder why one day the animal is just no longer alive at a young age. But I am going to say, if you guys are listening and wasn't here for the entire time, I have never heard of a boa, and if somebody can correct me if I'm wrong, that has been alive at 30 plus years. So that's impressive for the boa that you are keeping, Hannah.
Yeah,
like, you can't even be mad at that. If she, God forbid, when she does decide to part this earth, you can't even be upset at that point. It'll be sad, but it's like for a snake to live. I had a snake who lived 22 years and then departed this life. I was satisfied with that. Like, didn't even want to know how I died. You know what I mean? Because it just died out of the blue. Didn't even want to know. 22 years, we good. 35 years, like, come on now. We're going to see an upper room type of funeral. We're going to have a funeral for you because you done lived in a wonderful life.
Yeah, I always say, I know she's not going to be here forever. I just enjoy the time I have with her, and I'm trying to give her a good retirement.
Yeah, that's amazing. But like I said, that is very impressive. So my last question before we end the live, and I told you, it normally goes an hour. Where we at? Hour and 21 minutes. Sorry. So we did horribly bad, but I knew this was going to be fun because you were such exciting to communicate with, even through the chat, you know. And I said, I love when I get responses like the response I got from Nikki. First of all, let me say, guys, if it's anybody in this chat looking to be on this show, this is the show that you should be more comfortable with, because if you are a newer person in the community, we're not going to talk a whole lot of genetics here, because that's not what this platform is for. I can direct you to the platforms that I share and the other shows. We're going to talk about that. You can learn all of that there. But I think sometimes and it has been like Morgan, for example, I love to see people step into this show and then branch off into the other ones and then become these thriving people in the reptile hobby because you started here and it made you comfortable. So with that being said, a lot of people be like, oh my God, I didn't know that, I could be on your show. Anybody can be on this show if you're a good person. All I ask is that you have some type of atmosphere in the reptile community and that you are a person who is willing and to answer the questions that I ask. Outside of that, like, this ain't Oprah. This ain't Oprah. Like, what do you mean? Hit me up. We'll schedule it. We'll make it happen. I love meeting the people who are kind of silent behind the face. I see you all the time, Hannah. I have seen you all the time. I have a list of people that I see that I want this person on. I want this person on. And then I have to be careful of my approach because some people you can see they kind of a little reserved, and I'm very much out there. You know what I mean? So I want people to know that when I reach out, it's on your terms. Like, it's not like you come on here and talk a whole bunch of ball python genetics, but I also have people on here who I didn't even know was that educated, has taught me so much about ball python genetics. And like I was telling you, Hannah, I have now those friends that, hey, I can call myself, and we formed these bonds from just doing this interview.
Yeah. And I will say, I have not done any sort of like podcast before. I have stage fright when I speak, and I'm a very reserved person. I don't go put myself in social situations unless I know I'm going to be good. And so I was watching, when you reached out to me, I watched a couple of your podcasts, and I was like, okay, these are good vibes. I'll be good. So it's a very welcoming environment, and I'm very thankful for that.
Thank you. And everybody who's done this at the first time said that, and they'll say that's why, I'm comfortable with doing it. Even sometimes Keys will reach out to me and be like, hey, is this person who's going to be on my show? Can you interview them first before they come on the show? Kind of break that ice, and it makes them more comfortable because now they're familiar with some of the people when they get to that. Now that's a platform that, you might be talking a little bit more, into detail, but it's still very comfortable, for that individual. But I just think it's funny. Like, I've been telling people, this ain't Oprah, hit me up. I'm welcome to anybody unless you're an asshole, then I don't want you on the platform because it is positive vibes here. But outside of that, absolutely. There are so many people who are bringing in great vibes into this. So many, and again, as we were talking about, so many of the women who otherwise might do just videos and don't even talk. I like pulling them into the show because then you get to hear those voices behind the character type of thing. And I learned so much about you all, like yourself. I've learned so much about you. I had no idea Betsy was that old. So Betsy, guys, is the picture on this thumbnail.
Yeah. The thumbnail is me and Betsy.
Yes. Doesn't look that old. Making bombs with the geriatrics. I can't with you, Keys.
Oh, also, Brittany, about the stretched ears. I say do it. There is a point though where you stretch them to, where if you ever want them to go back to normal, they won't.
Okay.
I think it's size 00. But as long as you take your time with stretching them, I love having my stretchers. I put my finger through them. I'll hang stuff from them. It's fun. So, sorry, I feel like I interrupted you.
Oh no, absolutely no. In fact, I love that. A lot of guests don't get a chance to read the chat. So you got a perfect setup where you're reading it and you can respond. I love it because it helps me go back and read. So yeah, I absolutely love it. So guys, that we're going to wrap up unless anybody have any other questions with Hannah today. Hannah, tell everybody where they can follow you.
Okay, so you can follow me on Instagram and TikTok. They're both the same username. It is thick with 2 C's .reptile.chick with 2 C's. And then I think you posted the thing you posted about the podcast. I'm a collaborator on, so you can find me on her Instagram as well.
Yep. So there you guys have it. I want to thank you so much, Hannah. Stay right here. We'll say bye to everybody, and I'll come back because I want to talk to you for a quick second. Everybody have an amazing, y'all. It is my husband's birthday eve, y'all. It's my husband's birthday eve. It is his birthday eve. So I just hope everybody have an amazing day. Like I said, I'm just feeling full of joy. Stan, don't worry. I am feeling okay. I'm definitely, eating and everything. It sounds like this, but I feel fine. I promise you. But I'm definitely going to eat more mushrooms today. Those mushrooms I made the other day was amazing. So I'll definitely do that. And everybody just enjoy your family. Key's got his daughter coming into Georgia for the first time to visit their new home. I hope you have an amazing time and try to focus on your family and not so much all the chats you have to, be alert to. And that's for everybody. Try to focus on your family during this time. I hope you all are doing well and that you have an amazing week. I'll see you guys again on Monday for 2 Peas in the podcast.
Thank you for being so supportive, by the way. I was nervous, but you guys made it fun.
Yeah, they're always a good group of people here, really good people. We even got KG here who normally doesn't get too much time to swing through. That's absolutely amazing. And Stan and Keys working and listening in. I appreciate y'all, brothers. Talk to y'all later.